Good morning, my name is Amy Vogel, and this is my co-host, Dr. Marianne Shallcross Smith, known to most as Dr. Daycare. We would like to welcome you to our mentoring program designed to educate our community on issues facing women. We'll be speaking to our guests in the areas of arts, sciences, education, law, medicine, politics, and business. The goal of the show is to provide the information that comes only from their personal experience and pass this information down to our own daughters, nieces, neighbors, and friends. Much of the content will relate to the guest speaker's journey in their chosen profession or hobby, what they learned most through the process, and what they wish they had known before the process. Since women-owned businesses are the fastest growing sector of our economy, my guests will close with a lesson that they've learned and pass it on to our listening audience. Today I'd like to welcome Cathy Andreozzi, and thank you for coming on the show today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So Cathy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey to where you are today?
Okay. Well, today I am first and foremost a mother. I'm a businesswoman. I'm also an advocate, an activist. I'm also an actress.
Are you?
Yes.
That's exciting too. Wow.
But if I were to look at where I was 12 and a half years ago, the snapshot then and now is totally different. And the pictures are totally different because of a tragedy, and it was a tragedy born of one choice made by one person. It also took a very long time for the picture to develop the way that it is now. On March 26, 2003, my daughter was walking home from her school bus, and she was about 10 feet from her own backyard when she was struck by a hit-and-run drunk driver. And in that moment, life as we knew it changed. Yeah. Everything changed. We were certainly, it seems very, it's very difficult to say and to understand, but we were one of the lucky ones. My daughter did survive, certainly not survive in terms of being able to live the life that she once had or that she should have had. But we still have her with us today, and for that we are certainly grateful. Tori suffered a traumatic brain injury, and she lives in a minimally conscious state requiring 24/7 care. But at 12 years old, she was a world champion martial artist, a straight A student, not because it came naturally, but because she worked very hard. Yep. She was a child who was the glue that pulled all of her friends together. She also was the kind of young woman who reached out to others, especially like the underdog. And she told the corniest jokes. At 12 years old, she told jokes that you would expect like an older person to tell, or something.
She was beyond her age.
I must be butter because I'm on a roll. I don't know where she got these things. She gave the best hugs, and she had the most infectious laugh. And, obviously all of that changed in a moment. And we were incredibly fortunate for a family that had the worst that you could imagine happen. We were embraced by a community. And they really held us together, and they held us up for a long period of time. And having been a family that was really self-sufficient, you go about your day, you do your thing, you take care of your children. When you have a community that reaches out to you like that, it's hard to, it was hard to accept at first, and yet you'll do anything to be able to care for your children. The only thing that made it easier to accept was kind of a vow that when we could, it would be our turn. And at 12 years old, my daughter's favorite movie was Pay It Forward.
Oh, wow.
So that made it very easy to know that we would do that in her name. Wow. And so from that, and from my daughter's philanthropic spirit, the Cathy Andreozzi Foundation was born.
Wow.
It took a little while, because certainly her recovery was first and foremost on our mind for a very long time. We didn't know for weeks if Tori would survive. Wow. I do remember that on the very day that they told us she would survive, it was also the day that they told us they didn't know how much, when, or if her brain would recover. So for the most part, that has been our struggle. 12 and a half years later, it's no longer the drunk driver that's the enemy. It's, you know, the aftermath. You know, they call it brain injury, but it's really brain illness.
Oh, that's okay.
Because it's like a diabetes or a heart condition. Eventually it starts to affect, you know, all of the other systems, I should say, you know, in your body. So it is certainly something that is all-encompassing. But early on, we were fortunate because, as I said, we had wonderful support around us. And I got terrific advice from two people. One was a physician that had come in early on to assess my daughter's scenario. And there were two phrases that became a bit of a mantra for me. And one was, your physical health is her physical health.
Wow.
And your mental health is her mental health.
Wow.
He followed that with, in optimal health and in a loving, nurturing environment, almost anything is possible. You know, we had people telling us 8 months out, what you see is what you get. Institutionalize your daughter. Bring her back home to Rhode Island, but institutionalize her. We were out of state in a rehab hospital for 8 months.
Wow.
You know, and at the time, naively, I thought she would come home walking, talking, eating again.
Yeah, of course.
The other advice that I got was from someone who was with us on the journey, and he said, don't let rehabilitation, don't live the disability life, actually, was the exact phrasing. Didn't mean that in any sort of a disrespectful way.
Nope.
But he meant live your life to the ceiling.
Yes, to the fullest.
Go to the top as much as you can. And in that regard, we made our world as big as it could be.
Wow.
And that not only benefited Tori, it benefited myself, it benefited the whole family. And,
Does she have siblings?
Yes, yeah. Tori has an older brother. So boy, girl, older brother, younger sister, and you know, they were very close, and that relationship transcends the injury.
It does. It just transcends into the whole family.
It's amazing to watch.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've been very fortunate, but you know, I used to always tell people that Tori showed signs very early on of her heart and her compassion for other people. We were a karate family. You know,
Really?
so I wasn't a soccer mom, a karate
Karate mom. It's a good one to be, I need to tell you, really.
Yeah,
Self-defense is, I think, very important.
And I think some of that and that indomitable spirit that she had, you know, helped Tori to survive. 5 years old, we were on a trip to Washington, D.C., and we were several families. Tori was the youngest in the crowd, and we were at a mall and a food court. And there was a candy kiosk across the way, and we had given all of the kids $5 and told them they could get whatever they wanted. One by one, all of the kids came back to the table, and they're rounding the corner, and I see my little girl, and her hands are empty. So I met her halfway, and I said, Tori, where's your candy? And she said, I didn't get any. And I looked at her, and I said, then where's your $5? And she looked at a homeless man sitting on a blanket in the corner, and she said, he needed it more than I did.
Oh my gosh, at 5 years old.
At 5 years old.
That's amazing.
And she didn't say, so could I have more money? She didn't ask any of the other children for any of theirs. She was very comfortable with her choice.
That's amazing. That's wonderful.
And so when we started the foundation, we knew that it was something that Tori would want. The foundation basically has 5 arms. And in many ways, it's reflective of all of the entities that came together and helped us up. It's commitment to community. It is support and recognition of law enforcement. It is education and awareness for substance abuse and youth and destructive decisions. We have an arm that is dedicated to traumatic brain injury and rehabilitation, and it is confidence through competition. So it honors the martial arts. It honors, you know, young people. One of my favorite parts of the foundation is that I get to go out and speak to young people across the state.
That's awesome.
And whether it be in a high school auditorium scenario or in drivers' education classes or health classes, and just get to speak to them about the choices that they make in life and how those choices have a ripple effect. You know, whether it's positive or negative,
It's a
and
ripple effect.
how they have a far-reaching potential to go so far beyond themselves.
Yeah. Wow. That's a big message. That's a huge message. And it's interesting that you take the time, energy, and to go out there and do that. That's amazing. And it's like you wonder if it would even be done if we have people like you in our community who would do that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think
That's
as
amazing.
a parent, you want to fix things.
We do.
And certainly, the one thing that I desire to fix the most, I can't. And so you take your time and your energy and you try to fix something related so that other parents don't have to experience
But what a
the same
positive
thing.
way to funnel it. What a positive way to funnel in such an educational way. That's amazing.
Well, I have a pair of big brown eyes that look at me every day, and so I want to make sure I do right by those eyes.
Wow. That's a good good motivation, isn't it?
It certainly is,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about your foundation. Like, how did you have like a fundraiser or?
Well, we do. At different points, we'll have fundraisers throughout the year. For the most part, I guess you would call it a pass-through foundation in a lot of ways.
Yep.
So we will have a fundraiser that will directly support a youth initiative for MAD.
Okay.
So, for example, this weekend, there is something called Youth in Action, and it is a leadership program where young people will learn how to go before the House and the Senate and learn to testify, and they will learn about compliance checks, and we'll give them the leadership skills that they need to take forward in their community. And so we will help some funding in that regard. We have done things in the foundation such as SWAT vests are only good for 5 years.
Oh,
Didn't
I
do
realized
that.
that.
We
Wow.
had found out
Yeah.
that the West Warwick community and Coventry, they have a combined
Yeah.
SWAT team. This goes back several years. They had SWAT vests that were, some
Yeah.
SWAT vests that were much older than that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you wonder, how can they protect you if they can't protect themselves? And it's very hard when I said commitment to community and you want to pay back or you want to give back to the people
Yeah.
that gave back to you. It's very hard to give back to individuals.
Yep.
So one of the things that I thought we could do is we could give back to individuals through giving back to the services that
Absolutely.
feed those individuals.
That's
So-
a big ripple. That's a big
yeah.
ripple.
So
Yeah.
we made a commitment, my son and I made a commitment to try and help to replace those SWAT
wonderful.
vests.
How many have you
one
replaced?
At a time. Well, eventually they got all, I think at the time, 10 replaced. And
That's
they, a couple
wonderful.
were replaced through other means, but it took us a little while.
That's
but,
okay.
did
Hey,
it.
it got done.
but we got there.
That's amazing.
We helped have a 25th anniversary celebration for MAD. It was the Mad Hatters Ball.
Oh, that's a
Each year we work with the Brain Injury Association of Rhode Island,
Yep.
Sergeant's Rehabilitation Center,
Sure,
which has
yeah.
a brain injury adolescent unit. We funded a video for the state police, Over the Limit, Under Arrest, which is a training video that they used in reference to standardized field sobriety tests. And each year we provide a competition scholarship for the Ocean State Grand Nationals, where an individual who has shown that they are respectful in school, in the community, and within their martial arts school,
Oh,
and they
wow.
write an essay, we will help pay for their competition fees.
That's amazing.
We believe that the discipline and the structure that you learn in the martial arts can help in terms of building character and therefore building a strong basis for someone to make good decisions in life and stand up to peer pressure.
That's amazing. Now you also belong to MAD as well?
Yes. I do.
And when you first got involved in MAD, how was that process? Like if anyone wants to get involved in it, Was it difficult? Was it hard? Like emotionally, I'm sure difficult. Like,
It was for me. At first, I viewed MAD as the place that you went when you lost someone that you love. And so having my daughter still, felt guilty. And you know, at first, I didn't know how that would be viewed, and certainly, obviously, we were embraced wonderfully, and it had been a wonderful support system. You know, not that you would ever choose this path that we're on, but if this is the journey that we're on, I cannot imagine not having these people that I have met on this trip with us, because they have certainly made the journey a lot easier. And after being involved with MAD as one of their, and I balk at the term sometimes victim.
Yeah, I do too.
It seems helpless.
It seems helpless.
It does.
It's a tough term. I think we're starting to look at that from society
Yes,
perspective.
yeah.
Maybe victorious, if you change it around and go forward.
We use the word victorious a lot. Victorious.
It's
The middle of
changing.
victorious is Tory.
Oh my gosh! Whoa! Wow.
So we use that a lot in our campaigns.
my
In fact, we
God,
have
really?
shirts that
Oh my
say we can
goodness.
be victorious
Oh,
over
that's
drink
wonderful.
driving. Yes.
Oh, I get that.
So yes, I like that play on words a
Yes.
little bit. But certainly as being a family member of somebody affected
Yeah.
by drunk driving, I was involved for a few years. And I wanted to volunteer, and I wanted to get more and more involved. And then I found myself invited to be a member of the board.
oh wow.
And so I've been a board member probably since about 2007.
Oh my
very
gosh!
nice.
We're lucky to have you. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness!
and it feels like home. And again, not that you would ever choose,
No, but
it's I get a little emotional sometimes when I think of it, because of all of the families that you've come to know, and all of these like-minded individuals that have the same goal, that have the same passions,
children,
and are working towards, you know, the same end.
Educating.
Putting in-
It's amazing.
Educating and putting an end to something that is totally preventable.
Oh, totally preventable.
what is the top ways you teach either teenagers or even 20 or anyone? What are the top ways you teach them why not to drink and drive?
Most times I just ask someone, you have to reach their vulnerability.
Yeah.
There but for the grace of God go I. And one of the things that, one of the ways that I approach it is you can't be judgmental. We're all human and we all make mistakes, and some mistakes are more forgivable than others.
Yes.
And I say things like, you know, you can stay up all night and be playing video games and not study for your math test. And if you're lucky the next day when you bomb, your teacher may give you another chance. And you can make the choice not to eat a hearty breakfast that morning, and the consequences are that your stomach's growling in the afternoon.
Right.
Some of those things aren't necessarily going to affect your life path.
Yes.
Other choices do have much more of an irreversible path. But you have to think through your choice.
Yeah.
You have to think it through. And I just ask them to stop and think about, you know, what life would be. Like, are a couple of hours of fun worth a lifetime of loss and pain and suffering?
You think it has something to do with, I'm speaking specifically with adolescents, with the brain development, do you think? From the age of 15 to 25, yeah.
That is a
It's like-
huge part of it.
I know, it's
a
like, as
huge
more they know
part of
about
it.
brain development, I'm certainly spent my whole life studying child development. When they came out with all this brain development stuff, I'm like, okay, how do you get this into them? You know what I'm saying? Like I think you said empathetic, get them to feel it. That's a really good way of looking at
Yeah.
it. But it's a message, it's a huge message that every parent, guardian needs to have with their child.
Yeah, absolutely. And communication is key.
Key, so
It
key.
absolutely is key. Sometimes I will have parents that have come up to me and said, I just know that my child doesn't do it. And I say, oh, good, you've said, I just know my child.
Right.
Those are the parents you worry most about.
I do.
Yeah, I'll be telling my child.
because they're not willing to have that conversation. So you know they're
Yes, yeah.
fearful too.
Yeah.
And also,
Oh, I think
Another-
tell my child the worst, so she'll stay somewhere away from it. I remember in the
Yeah.
80s, remember the commercial with the egg on the pants, is this your brain on drugs? And
Yes.
I was like, that's going to happen. I shouldn't do, like, I'm like, scared.
Every time I would, my son's friends would come in the house or whatever, and I'd give them all a big hug. How you doing? They'd say, Mom, we know you're smelling us. I'm like, I'm not trying to hide that I'm sniffing.
Yeah.
You know, do I smell alcohol? Do I smell, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not hiding. Have that conversation with your kids. Let them know you're looking over their shoulder.
Yeah.
Let them know.
Let them know you
Because
care
let
and
them
you're
know
afraid.
you care.
and the other
Exactly.
piece of it I'm very strong on is the model in the family.
Yes.
What's mom or dad or grandparents doing too? Every day you walk through that door, and if you left work and stopped for a few drinks and walked through the door, and you got that smell, and you're a 40-year-old adult, that's a message you're giving to your child. I need to say that.
And it is not just young people.
Oh no, it's
There
not.
is
No.
another demographic
Oh,
out
huge.
there.
Yes,
And
even
it
seniors.
is 40s and 50s.
That's
We
right.
have another age group that
Yep.
is rising.
Rising. Yeah.
That is, and you know, maybe we feel like we've got it all together. We know, been
Right.
there, done that.
Right.
Maybe it's feeling a sense of entitlement. The woman that struck Tori was 48 years old. Her plea to the judge for leniency was, and this is verbatim, I'm the daughter of a doctor, I'm a college graduate, I'm a successful businesswoman.
And you made a bad decision one night and you messed up someone's life, and that's
I
it.
don't deserve to be in jail with those other people. You should know better.
Yeah.
We should know better. It's all about the choices that
Tell
we
me
make.
about the
It
forgiveness.
really is.
And with all the families that you work with at MAD, what's the forgiveness process like
You know,
for families or
I believe
individualized,
it's,
I'm sure?
it is. It is. It's so different
Oh.
for everyone. I've met some people who years later are still so angry, so angry. You know, can you blame them? For me personally, and I'm sure it's because my scenario is different, because 24/7 I still have, I have other priorities right in front of me that need to be dealt with. So maybe it is so much easier to put that behind me.
Got it.
It's not necessarily, it's just not a priority. It's
Yeah.
not there. The only time that comes into play, or had come into play, was at sentencing, at parole hearings,
Yeah.
when it was time for release from jail. But other than that, it can't be part of my daily life. It can't be part of my thought process, because it takes away from what needs to be.
Yeah.
That is quite the struggle. I couldn't imagine. In
Oh
all my
yeah.
years.
No.
And I'm sure when people drink and drive, it's like you said, it's like, don't make those decisions, don't make those choices. And today there's so many ways to prevent it. Call someone for a ride.
Right. The thing is, once you take that drink, it's more difficult to make a reasonable decision.
Exactly.
So you really do need,
To be proactive about it.
yes, absolutely, to plan ahead. To plan ahead. That designated driver.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think anyone gets behind the wheel thinking this is what my
No.
night. It's the senses have been loosened. This has happened. I think they have full control.
And that's one
So
of
they
the
deal with
things
their own stuff too. That's not what they think they're going to get in an
that I
accident.
very clearly say. I don't think anyone gets up in the morning and says,
No.
this is the day that I
no.
destroy a life,
Exactly. Or family.
that I destroy a
agree.
community.
Right. I
No one
agree.
says that.
No, nobody
No.
does. No. Wow.
But it's
Wow.
something that could very easily happen.
Now, how about for the listening audience, if they either want to get involved or be part of MAD, is it open to everyone or anyone? How does?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. You can call your local MAD office
Okay.
and get involved. And there's so many different ways to get involved.
Okay.
There really are. From, you know, if you're the type of person who just wants some community service hours to go in and stuff some envelopes,
that's
if you
good to
want to
know.
make some phone calls, if you'd like to be involved in the legislative process, you can get involved on that end. If you are a community builder and would like to do some networking or be involved in fundraising, there's so many different ways. There
Great
really
cause.
are. And there are other entities out there as well. If you're interested in the brain injury community, the Brain Injury Association of Rhode Island can certainly use some talented individuals
amazing.
to help them along in their quest. Lots of ways. You know, I found this calling obviously through a tragedy that befell my family. A lot of times I say to people, don't wait for something bad to happen to your family. Find a passion.
Find a passion,
Get
yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
You know, when we started, I said I was an advocate, an activist, and an actress.
Yeah.
So, you know, not living the disability life 24/7, you know, having to find an outlet for things, not only for my sanity, but for my daughters as well. You know, so she has a mom who's kind of well-rounded and, you know, and has a clear head at times. That was a great outlet for me. Everybody needs, you know, a little break from that 9 to 5.
Yep.
You know.
And the siblings too, and dad.
Yes.
It's a whole family process. You're all in
Absolutely.
it together. My gosh, you've had the #1 parent's nightmare. You've like lived it. You know. Wow.
We just had a conversation with several families over the last week. We do a lot of online support groups, and certainly a parent's #1 nightmare, losing a child.
Yeah.
Second nightmare, people forgetting your child.
Wow. Oh, I'm so glad you added that. That's beautiful. I never ever came into my realm before, but that's pretty cool. That's amazing. Thank you. Wow. I always stop with the first one, and so she will live on through your foundation in many ways, and your wonderful care and everything that's going on. My God, incredible! You're an incredible woman. Wow. Phew. Tell me about the actress. Are you in theater? Or are you just a woman-made actress?
Well, it was part of a challenge to me to find something to do for myself.
That's amazing.
And so I did. I auditioned and I went to the Newport Playhouse, and it was a great
Cool.
outlet.
Great.
And
That is
it was fun.
That's awesome.
good for you. That's amazing. Wow, you are so
quite
well-rounded
dynamic.
in so many ways. And you said businesswoman too. So is this a foundation, or God bless
foundation
you, do one more
and-
thing? I don't know how you'd get it in a day.
Well, I started a small home health business
Good to
so
know.
that I could hire my own people to directly
Got it.
take care of my daughter.
That's
Got
amazing.
it.
That's
I get
amazing.
that. That's good to know.
Well-
The resources there are always an important piece. People come in and out of your lives, you know, so I'll kind of keep that in mind.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes.
You're absolutely dynamic,
Oh,
and I wish you all the best in your future
Thank
and your
you.
daughter.
Thank you so
yeah.
much.
God bless your family, and thank you so much for being here today.
My
Wow.
pleasure.
You have a wonderful message. Wonderful message.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing it.